right, guys, gentlemen, stop your conversations. We're going back on the air.
We have to start early. There's too much to talk about.
Richard Roper and Michael Urie are having a conversation about
We're
Alec Baldwin.
it up here, which is perfect considering what Michael's here for.
Sorry.
That is, you two are yenting it up pretty good. Well, you're talking about Alec, but before we get started, Michael, thank you for being here.
Thank
Michael
you.
Urie,
I'm so happy to be here. Very nice to see you guys.
from the television. You've turned on the television to see Michael Urie. And we're going to talk about Buyer and Cellar, because this is a fascinating, it's a play that's here in Chicago for the next couple of weeks. And it's a fascinating backstory to this, and we'll get to that in just 1 second. But before we do that, let's finish the conversation you two started about Alec Baldwin. There's more to this story, Richard Roper. Alec Baldwin has just been arrested this afternoon for riding his bike the wrong way down a street in New York.
And not having his ID.
And not
having his,
the guy who did What's in Your Wallet for 5 years on television. I mean, and you can't make this stuff up. This is going to be your next smash hit.
There's a one-man play in this.
Unbelievable. And then, Ro, I was just telling Michael, and here's a guy who's in his late 50s, and he keeps saying, I know I should know better. He can't help himself. And so, get the summons. We're like, well, we can't give you a summons because you don't have an ID. Then he's, going into the police station and don't they know who I am? And then he's tweeting the badge number and the name of the police officers,
Terrible.
the two women that arrested him.
Yeah.
And how does that help anything?
I love that he says, don't you know who I am, when he himself claims to be out of the public eye.
He retired from show business.
Michael, most successful retirement from public life ever.
He did it.
2 weeks later, we're like, I don't know who that guy
He did
is.
it. Even New York cops don't know him anymore.
And he had the unfortunate bike shorts and the whole thing.
It's too bad because he's a genius. We were talking. That's how this whole. Yeah. He's like such a good actor. It's so. He was so good on 30 Rock. He's always good.
Yeah, he's good in everything he does. He's fun to watch and everything.
But he's
Glenn Ross.
Oh,
awesome.
Yes.
Coffee is for closers.
Yeah.
Of course, coffee is for closers.
And The Departed. He's one of the best parts of that movie.
Yeah.
But he cray.
Yeah, he cray. He cray. All right. Michael Urie is from Ugly Betty. Remember, he was on Ugly Betty for, which was
15
one of those,
years.
Yeah, 16. What is it? Like the first 25 seasons of Ugly Betty you were on. Which, is kind of groundbreaking TV, right? When it was on.
Thank you. Yeah.
And congratulations to you on that. And now you're in Buyer and Cellar. All right. Now, Buyer and Cellar is, this is one of the strangest setups for a play ever when you stop and you think about it.
Yes,
Barbra Streisand, you're familiar with her?
Yes.
She's an international
icon,
singing celebrity, right? Okay, now.
And it's Cellars, C-E-L-L-A-R.
Yeah, like a basement. It's a pun.
Well, because it is. Thank you very much. Well, here's the thing. This is true. This is actually based on something that is kind of partially accurate.
Right.
She has this incredible house in Malibu. She's written a book about this. There's a coffee table book about this house.
Right.
And it's got these incredible finishes. And it's sort of like, it's kind of the Neverland Ranch.
That's right.
For divas is basically what it is.
Yeah.
And
it's the Lady Graceland.
Exactly, Lady Graceland, right. In the basement of this, she created a mall.
Yeah.
A shopping mall that is based on what? What is it?
It's based on this. She writes in the book that it's based on this art museum, this decorative arts museum in Delaware called Winterthur.
Oh, well,
yes,
of course. That's a name like
we
that.
all know
right?
what that is, of course.
And it looks like a street of, it's like got a fake cobblestone street.
Right.
I mean, maybe it's real cobblestone actually. I've never been there, but there's a cobblestone street and then there's like a facade of shops.
Right.
In her basement.
That reminds her of places that she thought were, that gave her good feelings when she was growing up in Brooklyn.
Yes.
And,
or backlots at Universal.
Or something like that. Something right.
She recalls it through her movie filtered memory of what she was growing up in.
Exactly.
Probably doesn't smell like the actual streets of Brooklyn circa 1957.
No, I would know. It probably smells like potpourri and.
So she's got this, this shopping mall literally in her, and she and James Brolin, and I'm sure she's got some staff and stuff.
Yeah.
They kind of, just walk around this gigantic home, and sometimes they go shopping down in this fake shopping.
Do you think they hire extras?
Well, that's the point, isn't it?
Shoppers. Yeah. And security that's dressed like shoppers, pretending to be shoppers.
Right, exactly. But here's the point of this, is that a play has been written, and I cannot imagine that Barbara's, when she was first presented with the idea that this was going to be done, I cannot imagine what her reaction was, which this play is basically about a guy who's been hired to go work in this fake
That's right.
shopping mall.
That's right.
And then he has to encounter Barbra Streisand.
He has one customer.
His one customer.
Yeah.
And what is that like? Now, do we know, and this is the play that you're in, but
Yes.
by the way, here's your ticket plug right here. Don't anybody
All
move.
right.
It's at the Broadway Playhouse on Chestnut. That's at Water Tower Place. All you have to do is get your tickets at BroadwayInChicago.com or by calling 800-775-2000.
Ironically, we're performing in a mall.
Ironic as it is.
Water Tower Place is this giant mall.
Okay, so explain this.
All right.
Explain this. What did she think about this?
Well, I don't know exactly what her first reaction was. My guess it would be something like, what? But I know that she's aware of it. She's been made aware of it. People who are close to her have come to see it, and they've been very nice about it. And I have heard that she read an article that was written about the play in Entertainment Weekly, where I was asked what I would do if she came, and I said that I would poop my pants. And I hear that she read that, and she goes, "Oh yeah, he's smart." That's the closest I've gotten to her.
Wow.
Now this thing was in New York.
Yeah, we played in New York. It's still playing in New York. I was there. I did it for like almost a year in New York at two different theaters. We started at the Rattler Theater, and then we played off Broadway at Barrow Street Theater, and it's still there with Christopher Hankey, and then Barrett Forward's taking over next month. And this is the beginning of our tour. So I'm here, and then we're going to DC and L.A., which will be very interesting.
Stop right there.
Okay.
So you're going to L.A. with this thing. She could show up.
She could show up. It's true. She could show up.
How does she come
Boy,
up?
I got to suggest who was the concert act row that always left 2 tickets for Elvis? There was somebody that did that no matter where they played. You guys got to leave 2 for Ms. Streisand
every
in LA.
night?
Every night. There was somebody who famously did that back in the day. I can't remember. They always left 2 for Elvis just in case. Leave 2 for Ms. Streisand. Why not?
2, yeah. Okay.
Plus 1. She can bring the hubby or
bring Jim.
Yeah, bring Jim.
Well, Jim might
Would that be
come.
cool?
Well, Jim's in it too. Jim shows up in the play too. There's a bit of a Jim. I don't know I think if she came, it would be crazy. I don't think it would be fair to her. But
let's talk about how is she portrayed in this?
Well, she comes off great in it. I have to say, really the premise is the end of the sort of foolery. That's kind of enough. She's got them all, and we sort of present it and let the audience take it and run with it. But what we show of Barbra is silly and very imaginative, but not mean-spirited. We're not roasting her. We're not making fun of her. Sure, there's fun had at her expense.
Okay, Michael, I got to stop you right there for a second. The premise is about the fact that she built a mall in her own house. There is a little bit of a making fun here. There's a touch of that.
Thanks to her.
Yeah,
thanks to her.
Back to her own act. All right, that's fair.
She, she did build a mall in her basement.
She did.
But I don't think she, we find it funny. I think most people would find that funny. I don't know that she necessarily finds that funny.
I don't know. She put it in her damn book. She put it in her. She did this book. I've seen the book.
Yeah.
And it's like this, it's a gorgeous coffee table book of, these pictures of what her life is like. She's got her dogs and her
the dog's on the cover.
Right. The dog. Right. She's got, I met that dog.
You did?
I did.
Did you meet her?
Yeah. And
let's hear it.
Well, I'll tell you after the break. Hold on.
Whether it happens in Chicago or around the globe, be the first to know about it. Text BREAKING to 68683 and get breaking news alerts. 89 WLS.
Only talk show in America that can give you Michael Urie discussing Barbra Streisand's closet. And in an hour from now, we'll be talking to Lee Ermey about a canine show on some deep cable channel that he's going to be at. It's the only one in America.
I told me he was doing the birdcage. No,
no, he's not.
Okay.
No, he's not. All right, I'll finish this very quickly.
All right,
we were talking
about
Barbra Streisand. You're in this play called Buyer and Cellar. Cellar with a C. Cellars in basement. Because in her house in Malibu, Barbra Streisand has built a shopping mall, replicating one of those cobblestone, modern shopping malls. And this play is a one-man play where Michael Urie plays all the characters, including Barbra Streisand. In what's it like to work for Barbra Streisand in her own mall when she's the only customer? Mm-hmm. Essentially, right?
That's it. That was really good. That was a really good one.
And
good job.
If you want to see this play, you can go to BroadwayInChicago.com or call 800-775-2000. It's at Water Tower Place at the Broadway Playhouse.
It was a great great place.
Great room.
It's a great theater. I love this theater.
Really nice, intimate, and you've got the mall. You got a lot of shopping and eating around there too.
That's true.
You can. Let me just mention Harry Carey's Water Tower place on the 7th floor. Bobby Holt will be there tonight. All right, here's the watching the Hawks game. Here's the thing. I met her after her concert here at the United Center a couple of years ago. I was invited backstage to meet her and James Brolin. And
the son was Jason Gould there?
Yes, he was because he was in that show.
Yeah,
as well.
he was in it. Yeah.
And everybody brought their dogs. And her dressing room was the entire Blackhawks dressing room. Was her dressing room, and they'd curtained it off.
Oh, and there was furniture and stuff, right?
Yeah, they bring their own furniture, and they've got all these curtains, and it's all flowy and everything, and the dog is there. So we're back there, and it's after the show, and she's done her meet and greet. Now she's meeting the final 4 people who are going to be there. It's me, and my former spouse, and a couple friends of ours who were friends of hers. So
speaking of buyer and seller, but never mind.
Yes, exactly. So we're there, and the dog, and this is a very interesting moment. The dog is there, and the dog piddles on a carpet. That they bring in their own carpets. And here's Barbra Streisand, lovely as could be. I mean, was such a nice, you'd think diva, tough, rough.
Right.
So sweet, so nice. She's taking a napkin and trying to blot up the dog pee and going, and then she puts it away and she goes, eat. Because they had all this food out,
Eat.
You eat. We were here all night.
So hungry.
Yeah, sit. Let's talk. Who's going to win the presidential election? It was like
wow.
It was.
Oh, that's great. That's a great story.
And she
cleaned up the pee.
And she yelled at the dog. Which I think the dog didn't like. And because I get yelled at by Barbra Streisand. And she was so sweet and so.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a good story. Did you say? Well, of course, I watched all of her interviews preparing for the show because I play her. And when she did Inside the Actors Studio, I mean, it couldn't have been 5 minutes in. She goes, "How do you do this whole thing without eating?" It's like a 90-minute show. She couldn't get through it without it. They brought her a bunch of snacks.
That's
really
fantastic.
Funny.
And she's probably the only one who thought that Lipton just wasn't effusive and praiseworthy enough. Wasn't giving her enough love.
Right.
Like, a little understated,
She's actually very human, and I was sort of surprised by that. Because, you have these images. It's sort of Gloria Swanson, Sunset Boulevard images of people who've reached that level of stardom.
I think that's why, I think that's what happens in our play too, is she actually ends up being quite human. And it's almost like she's like the epitome of a normal person who happened to get dropped into this icon status and how she deals with it. And that's sort of what the play, that's sort of what happens in the play. It's very funny and very sweet.
And congratulations, getting great reviews.
Yeah.
So congratulations on that. Fantastic. Before I got like a minute here left, and it's a little unfair to do this, but I want to do this anyway. As somebody who's out as a professional actor, I mean, you're young enough that it's your whole career pretty much, right? You've been out.
And it's so cool these days.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an issue. Michael Sam now, first NFL player who's going to be out.
I know.
And there was all this negative reaction on Twitter because he kissed a guy on TV and he smushed cake in the guy's face. What is
there were bakers saying that's a perfectly good piece of cake. All kinds of people looking for something to criticize.
There are people who are starving.
Right. Buttercream, what are you doing?
And people saying, well, it was really out there. Donald Trump is really out there. It was over the top. What is your thought on this?
Well, that's out there. There's professional sports players doing some pretty crazy things out there. And, I don't know, smushing cake is pretty. He
didn't shoot someone in a nightclub. Is that what you're trying to say?
He didn't shoot someone in a nightclub. He didn't hire a prostitute. He didn't do drugs. He didn't do, like smushing cake is, I don't think that's out there. I think what they're referring to is that he kissed a man and was being flirtatious and silly and gay. I mean, I think that's the implication. He did something that was gay. And I don't mean gay in the negative connotation that people use it as to be stupid or lame. I mean, like, a man on a man doing something. That's what they're referring to. And, look how bad it went for the guy in Miami, the player in Miami who's now, what did you tell me?
He's now in re-education camp. He's been sent him.
Which I would just love. I want to go.
Sensitivity training. Imagine sensitivity training with the guy.
Not as someone who's been sent there, but just I want to observe what they do.
I think it's really cool. I'm from Dallas, and Dale Hansen is a big. He's a really. He's like the like sports guy, sportscaster in Dallas, and I grew up, fearing him as a child, and he made a beautiful speech about how this is sports. This is not about that. This is about sports, and it doesn't matter. And I was so blown away when that came out. I was so impressed by him, and I think that is going to be the temperature going forward. Certainly with Michael Sam and all this stuff. Yeah. And watching what happened to this guy in Miami, like that's what's going to happen. You can't say terrible things. You can't. You just can't. There are consequences now. It's everywhere.
Michael Urie, you can go see him in Buyer and Seller.
We'll smush cake in each other's faces.
He smushes cake in his own face.
I do it.
That is how good he is as an actor. See you at the Broadway Playhouse, BroadwayChicago.com. Thanks, Michael, for being here.
Thank you, guys. This is fun.